Hey, g'day and welcome back to Atlas, and it's finally happened. However many bloody patches it's been now, 5, maybe 6 patches, and the market is back. Single player market, the warehouse, and my farmhouse. They fixed the single player bug where the buildings would disappear. Finally. Took them a long time. There's a heap of good stuff in this patch that I'm very happy to have a look at. I'm going to get stuck into a lot of that very soon. I've just got to somehow load up the Play Atlas forum. Unfortunately, their forums are an absolute pain right now, and they keep crashing out on me. Once I've got that loaded, we'll get stuck into the patch. We're going to look at Seahorses, we're going to have a look at the fixes to the dolphins, harvesting underwater, and a bunch of other things. Alright, first things first, we're looking at the dolphin. The reason why we're looking at the dolphin first up is because it will allow us to get the seaweed, because it can now harvest seaweed, so we can then use that seaweed to tame a seahorse. The other thing is we should be looking at my character, specifically the fortitude. So I've got 219 fortitude on. When I jump off, have a look at myself, I've still got 219 fortitude. And the reason why that's very specific, especially if you watched my previous videos on all this, in the skill tree, you basically have this improved water temperature fortitude. So you get a 45% bonus to fortitude, which wasn't applied to the dolphin before, but it is now, which is fantastic. And it only took them one patch to fix it. Unlike the buildings being invisible, which took them about 6 or so patches to bloody deal with. But it's resolved, it's good. Apparently they've resolved issues as well where the dolphin surfacing and dying, apparently that's no longer a thing. It's a bit hard to test that one. I possibly need to get like that mosh pit of dolphins that I had in one of my previous videos that caused me to die when they're all piled up on top of me. But what we want to do is we want to get down deep. I also have the various oxygen buffs, so my character is not going to run out of oxygen anytime soon. But what we are looking for is seaweed. I was just down here a little while ago testing it out, and I know it works. You just got to find that seaweed again. Here we go, seaweed. And so yes, just using your left click attack, the dolphin will harvest seaweed. It will also harvest coral, apparently. So what I need to do now is go and find a seahorse, and a little kitty cat that's meowing in behind me. And we're going to go down to the trench, and we're going to see if we can find a seahorse and try and tame one, which will be cool. Find out what they're like. Okay, here we are. We're out in the middle of the trench. And let's have a look what I've got. So 219 fortitude. I've actually got a really good set of mythical hide that I actually had from doing a previous video. So I'm just reutilizing that stuff. I should get about 20 minutes down underwater. It's fairly early in the day. It's not quite the middle of the day yet. So I'm expecting that it's still going to be, around minus 15 plus, maybe minus 15 and minus 20 down there. But it's time to go down and find a seahorse. Here we go. I love the change in the graphics when you get down into the trench. And you'll notice that it is now minus 18 degrees, and from a fortitude point of view, I have no coldness at all. I do have a significant amount of fortitude. Let's take a bit off. Oh, there we go. So I'm down to 162 fortitude, which is 465 hypothermal, and I've just gone cold. So it's still survivable at about that level. Just as an indication. I think what I worked out previously was that you probably want about 400 fortitude to remain nice and cozy down here. At any rate, we now need to go and find ourselves a seahorse. Oh, there it is. Look at you. I'm surrounded by jellyfish and other things. Oh, there we go. Bloody jellyfish coming in. I should be able to swim to this thing. Maybe. I need the faster swimming. Uh-oh. Go away, fish. Look at those majestic seahorses. I'm going to get attacked by a crab here as well. Oh, is it attacking the seahorse? So it looks like crabs just natively attack the seahorses, which is interesting. Well, while I'm here, I've noticed that it's very hard to keep up with them, so I'm probably going to want advanced swimming. There we go. Oh, no. Alright, well, the dolphin can do its thing. While we chase this thing down, it still seems to be swimming faster than me. Come on, let's hit change direction. Feed seaweed to tame. It's on. One more. Let's just keep up with it. Still got plenty of breath. Ding ding. Not gonna answer that phone. Oh, jellyfish coming towards me. Oh, go away, jellyfish. Seaweed to tame. Done. Nice. Now I shouldn't need a saddle for this. Yeah, very good. Come on, dolphin, kill it. Okay, dolphin's looking a bit hurt, but we got ourselves a seahorse. Let's have a look at it in the flesh. Oh yeah, not too shabby. It seems to get ignored just like the dolphin when you're riding it, which is actually quite good. It's kind of what you need. But yeah, oh well, it really did do the number on my dolphin there. Okay, so with the seahorse, yeah, we've still got about 10 minutes down here, so we should be right for this. Alright, so with the seahorse, their favourite food is seaweed or sea grapes, which is why I harvested the seaweed earlier, so that I could get this. Their primary attack is a venomous bite, which does a poison debuff, giving 20 damage over 15 seconds. So, quite handy, really. And you need an antidote, which is a new item in the game. I'm wondering if that's a copy of the antidote in Ark. We'll find out soon enough when I have a look at it. And apparently they have an acid spit, so let's have a look at that one now. Oh, a cute little acid spit. Yar. Jellyfish still get angry when you're close. Gosh, it's hard to hit anything with them. Yeah, it's a very, very narrow attack, which means that it's got a very, very narrow hitbox as well by the looks of that. Oh, crab died. That means that the seahorse won, did it? Not harvesting anything off that, which is surprising. Alright, let's move on. What level shark is that? Oh gosh, that's a hard view when you're up close. So where's that damage over time business? You don't get to see the damage number? It said that it was doing 20 damage over time. I'm not seeing any damage over time going on there. Whoa. So the spit does do quite a lot of damage if you can land it. Okay, damage over time probably was happening there, but you could just barely see it. What's the dolphin doing? Ah, there. Alright, we are getting up and out of here. We now have a seahorse. Alright, so we're here over at base, and we're now looking at the mortar and pestle to learn the antidote, which is a new item that which will obviously heal the poison from the seahorse. An interesting thing that I just found, my existing mortar and pestle, so in the skill tree you have to learn the basic medicine skills, like the very first one, and you get the antidote. In my existing mortar and pestle, it's not there. So I built another mortar and pestle, and it is there. It's just like, what the hell? Anyway, 5 medicinal herbs and 2 organic paste, and you can get yourself one of those. And it says specifically curing seahorse venom, but I would have thought that maybe in the future they would put venom in other creatures, and the antidote should work for that too. Maybe they'll change that in the future. Who knows? But that is the new antidote. Other than that, we might as well have a look at it. In our inventory, there's supposed to also be a new craftable crude tool. Oh, yeah, there it is there. Okay, it's a rock with some fibers wrapped around it. Anyway, the idea behind this is when you first start the game, you don't have anything. You have to actually learn the very, very first skill point after you get a level, and then you can get picks and you can get hatchets and things like that. So that's the basic tools. You don't have that to begin with. So cutting down a tree or hitting things just isn't possible. So they've decided to put in the crude tool that gives you that first step where you just have to go around, pick up some fibers, pick up a rock, then you can make the crude tool, which will then allow you to hit up the trees. Its durability apparently will drop very, very quickly, but it's just that thing to give you a start. And it's a nice thing to put in there. I don't know why they couldn't have just put in, say, the pick, but, you know, this is an arc, so they've put that one in instead. So the next 2 points, basically I don't really have a lot to do with these, but they are an interesting change nonetheless. First up, we've basically got the Flame Baluster Bolt, and it does damage to sails. It seems to be very, very specifically sails. And so over time, it will do damage, 20, 40, 60, 80 damage at the 2, 4, 6, 8 second mark. And then hitting a sail a second time with a Ballista Bolt will do an extra 100 damage to the current amount. So hitting multiple times with a Flame Bolt to a sail obviously will help take it down quick. And I can see some interesting stuff there that would actually be good for that. Especially in combination with the new vessels like the Ram, which is less dependent on the sails. Apparently you can put it out by using Olfin's water spray, closing the sail, or dumping a water bucket on the mast, but it would change a little bit of the dynamic of the battles, given that if you can take out someone's sails, especially on a big vessel, if you can be on a quick ship that can dodge bullets, or potentially even have a ram with... you can't actually put ballastas on a ram. Maybe when you can modify a ram in the future. But you would certainly be able to use some of your vessels to come in and basically just start damaging sails while the ram's causing havoc. And so there's certainly some byplays and combos that you can probably pull out with the various different vessels once they're all in and up and running. Especially when they talk about putting in new unique vessels. It'll be interesting to see what those new unique ones are and how they will actually change the dynamic of the PvP battles, albeit that I don't actually do that. The next change is the glider suit. Various changes apparently have happened here, and they're trying to address exploits and stuff like that. Beforehand, I had some people commenting on it, basically saying that the reduction in the launch height was really hurting them with the playstyle of being able to do dive bombing with barrels. But it looks like they've increased the maximum height from 100 up to 400, so they've increased that significantly. 400 may have been where it was at before, but they have slowed the glider down. And they've changed a bunch of things like the drag weight and things like that, and what the minimum speed is that will actually cause you to go into a deadfall. And this all seems to be from the looks of the comment, because they've left the known issues in here, in that you can still gain height even though it's slow. You can glide across half a server, which I can understand why they would want to stop that. It doesn't really seem like a feasible thing that you really should be doing, but obviously you can. And then it's hard to tell when you're about to stall, and sometimes it's super slow, but you will end up going into a corkscrew. And lastly, when you hit the dive button, apparently sometimes you'll actually go into a sideways dive. But from what they're kind of getting at there is they obviously want... Sure, you can use the glider, but you should be limited to the island that you're actually on and not half a bloody server. There may be some other things that they're actually looking... I don't know the exploits that go with the glider suit. And maybe some people could actually let me know down in the comments how they've seen people griefing with gliders in the past. Just so I can actually understand where that one's actually coming from. Anyway, that's that. I guess the next step of all of that would happen to be the loot drops. So with the lumberyard, the quarry, the mine, they now actually have blueprints that will actually drop from the various different things that we can actually do, which will mean that you can get better quality versions of those buildings, which is really quite nice. I like it. It is the natural progression for them to go down that route. And what they've actually had is that it's the capacity and the collection rate is what will be improved by the greater quality items. Lastly, the coffee and coffee seeds will also now be found in the food drops. So, for example, if you were to do a sunken treasure, I imagine that down there you would occasionally find food in the loot crate. And that loot crate now will have a potential to get coffee. The next thing on the list of things in this big patch is the resources. Apparently fish oil on some fish wasn't there, and now it is. There's my mine. My mine's still visible, which is very good. The stone harvesting, this one's a bit of an interesting one. So the stone harvesting of the copper region, the northwest region of the map, has been rebalanced, and so they were making it so that iron is the most common resource, and then the copper will become a less common resource that you actually find within the rocks, which is they're obviously trying to change the rate at which you get certain resources. And then they've added a new thing in there that we have called geodes, and these geodes is obviously something you break open, and within it will have more items. They've specified things like limestone, rock salt, gems and crystals. And so with those you can basically gather them by hand or by tames, but you won't be able to get them via the quarry or the farmhouse, which gives those people that are interested in getting that stuff a reason to actually go out and get it. But it's all a bit weird, because with all this sort of stuff, and they're saying that that's all subject to change because they're only doing it to that one region, and then they'll expand it to all the others. But if their stated aim was to get people onto the ocean, and they're adding all this automation in via the farmhouses and whatnot, and it sounds like they'll improve that automation over time too. How does creating a hand-picked resource work within that statement? I don't really know. Not that I'm too worried, but there's a long way to go with this development, and so they may have some kind of a plan for that. It could actually be something that somebody has said that they'd be interested in having in the game, and the developers have thought, oh yeah, maybe that is a good idea. They've chucked it in, and then when they get some playtime feedback, they may actually remove it or modify it. We don't really know. They've actually said that they're actually taking feedback from from us, whether it be via forum or via in-game stuff. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the real-time play is like with the geodes, and see whether it actually stacks up or not. It's one of my lions. I should go for a run with my lion later too. Where's a nice hill to run up? Maybe that way. Right, next up, ships. Third-person view is fixed a little bit from the steering wheel. Ship levels 46 to 50 are no longer purchasable on ships with a level cap of 50, and cannons on the ramming galley now have wheels. Sure, that sounds all very cosmetic. Yeah, fair enough. Well done. Tames and creatures. Carried rabbits now give 20% speed boost to the player if you are above 90% stamina. Okay, creature's torpor is now displayed after receiving torpidity damage. It's nice. I don't think that indicator was 100% necessary, but from the previous video I did on using the arrows, knowing how many arrows you need to actually put into something would actually be very useful. And seaweed. Because seaweed's now a food, it can go in a trough. That makes a lot of sense, really, because you're going to want to have a trough near your underwater water pen for where you're keeping your seahorses and your dolphins. And the last section in the patch, the seed vendor will now rotate its inventory every 12 hours. The decay timer on the warehouse market and the kiln is now the standard 10 days. I guess it wasn't that before. They fixed some instances of the market going out of sync. I haven't really seen that because the market's not available in single player. Bug fixes. Structures can now be built next to the armoured docks, but there's still a region in front of the docks near the gates where you can't place structures. And lastly, my favourite in all the bloody thing is they resolved the issue with the market, warehouse, farmhouse being invisible in single player. And that seems to be about it. Oh, hello horses. And just again emphasising that they are in early access, but we hear that every time. But that's alright. It's a nice big patch. Quite happy with it. You can certainly see some progress. I don't know that... I find it interesting with the dolphin and the seahorse, so I guess I put my 2 cents on a bunch of these things. So the seahorse looks like it's going to be your attack creature. So it's the thing that's going to poison players. And then the spit will actually do extra damage to subs and do extra durability damage to armor. So it seems to be the creature that you will use for actually fighting players, whereas the dolphin will be the fast creature that you then use for collecting resources. And so it's how I can see those two really being used. The fact that you can't take the creatures en masse across grid lines probably means that they're expecting people to be riding them as opposed to taking big groups, albeit that taking big groups is much safer than taking one at a time. And yeah, it really screams of play under the water. You know, what other stuff are they going to put under the water that's going to make us want to go down there? More resource harvesting, where those resources are something that we really need to have. As someone was theorizing, there may be something like an Atlantean kind of city, high fantasy they keep talking about with their Stormpunk. Maybe there'll be an underwater city, whether that's player cities or NPC cities, who knows. But it kind of screams that there's going to be content under the water, and that content is going to require PvP. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The other thing is that it could also be these instanced worlds, where the maelstroms that will send us off into these new little quest instances that they talked about, is potential for the creatures to be of use once they're inside there. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Alright, well, I think that'll do it once again. I'm being attacked by a lion. Oh. As I sit here on my lovely giraffe, managed to kill off a few things there that just got in my way. And yes, thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the patch, what you think of the Seahorse, what your potential uses are for it. Always like hearing all the sides of the coin, whether you like it, whether you hate it, it doesn't really matter. Just let me know. Alright, thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.